Welcome to this episode of the GymInformer podcast. I'm Chris Gilbert, your host for this episode, and today our guest is Creighton Davis. Creighton is the owner of Olympus Athletic Club in Raleigh, North Carolina. I got a chance to work out there just last month. It is a super cool gym, very unique. It's not huge, but Creighton does an amazing job of maximizing the space, and I can't wait to talk to him about it. But before we get started, let me show you the photos I took of the gym when I was there. All right, Creighton. The gym's only about 10,000 square feet, right?
Correct.
Actually, let me back up a second. I was excited to talk to you about the equipment, but let's back up and find out, how did you become a gym owner?
So I was in my late 20s trying to figure out exactly where I was going to fit in the world work-wise. Did a couple different sales jobs, and as everyone knows, with the logo, I have a big dog at the house, and he was always my priority. And I just realized that I was spending a lot of time at work, and I came home one day and I felt bad about being at work, and he was never one to tear anything up. And when I came home, he had torn up a sheet of notebook paper in like a Walmart bag. There was nothing in it. And I just knew that this just was not cutting it for me. And I had always been a personal trainer, even while I was doing, sales jobs or whatever. I always was either working with people in person and or online. And I'd gotten out of the training business. I was doing like a nomad service where I was traveling to whoever's clients, gym, house, field, whatever.
Right.
And that did well for me. But I also realized that there was only so many hours in a day that I could be present and be training people. So I didn't really want to cap out just there. And as I was kind of going through this phase of trying to figure it out, I just kind of thought about it, and I was like, well, Raleigh only had at the time Lifetime, Fitness Connection, Crunch, and maybe like Anytime Fitness or something like that. Not a ton of gyms.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, if it were me, why couldn't I just build something where people like myself and other trainers could come and have everything they need at their disposal and have it be something that you could access all the time. That was one thing I noticed, because at the time I was also bodybuilding and prepping for shows and things like that. Sometimes 10 p.m. is just not going to get it done. Your day is a little longer than that, or however it goes. And I remember sitting down and kind of mapping this out and looking at the gyms and the demographics and the ages and stuff like that of the people around me, and mentioning it here and there at the gym. So I kind of wrote up a business plan, and I called my dad and I asked him, I said, look, I've got this idea. Why don't you look over this business plan for me? Tell me what you think. And I was fully prepared for him to shred it to pieces, because that's what he does. And he's, always going to try to look out and make sure that it's the best business call, no matter what your emotional feelings are on it. And after a couple of times talking about it and working on it, he looked at me and goes, I think this is a pretty good idea. We were looking to provide something to the area that no one else had.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went for it.
Nice. And how long have you been open now?
So we opened October the 5th, 2020, right as soon as COVID ended, or the restriction was lifted. We were actually prepared to open right on the day that COVID hit.
Oh, wow.
We were very fortunate to be able to sit on it and wait. And as soon as the ban was lifted, I opened the doors the next day.
Nice. Yeah. So, now, you could tell, I was excited to talk to you about the equipment, and I wanted to jump right into it. But I wanted to hear your story first. But now that we've heard your story, let's get into the equipment.
All right, let's do it.
So you in 10,000 square feet, obviously, I've been to 20, 30,000 square foot gyms. 10,000, it's a nice sized gym, but it's not huge. So you've got to be very selective about what you put on the floor, because what you put on the floor is going to take the place of something else. It's not like you have an endless amount of space to put stuff there. So how do you make that decision of what's going on the floor?
So when I started the business, I had like 2 or 3 non-negotiables for myself when it came to the business. One was the 24/7, and the other one was the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
As far as equipment goes and picking it out, I was always into equipment. When I was young, like I just thought it was super cool to be able to make a machine that could mimic a bench press or a dumbbell press or a bicep curl or whatever. And when you're younger, you're trying to figure out your body. And I felt that I was around a bunch of old school guys,
Mm-hmm.
flag weights every time. But I felt that I gained a lot more connection using machines at the beginning that enabled me to be stronger in my other movements as I continue to progress strength wise.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I was very fortunate, with sports and training people. I've worked with some really high end people and, athletes. And I'm from Kinston. It's not really a whole lot to look up, but if you look up the town, we have, per, amount of people, we got a lot of professional athletes that come out of there. And
oh, wow.
I've been just everywhere I went, I would take pictures. Like if I found something I liked, I would just take a picture of it. Mm-hmm. And I would just save it on my phone. And I don't think I did it with any intention of ever thinking I was going to own a gym, but I always had an aspiration to have my own home gym.
Right.
So I was like, my own home gym can be, what I want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And as, I progressed with bodybuilding, I had a coach that was very involved, I guess you would say, with like a high level of bodybuilders. And through him and my connections with some of these guys, I've been able to travel quite a bit to see a lot of gyms, not just on the East Coast, but West Coast and out of the country as well. If I'm ever traveling out of the country, I always made it a point to try to hit some local gym, even if it was super early in the morning and just for an hour. I just wanted to say I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And, through that, listening to a lot of feedback from guys that I thought were more intelligent than I was by leaps and bounds about equipment and ergonomics, I really just started to pay attention to what I saw working.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are certain machines that we have that you become strong on them, you will get bigger. Like it's just impossible not to, because of the way the ergonomics are of the equipment. And it was just always like a thing for me. I just really enjoyed it. I think they're super unique. They're timeless pieces. There's a lot of new technology that goes into some of this stuff. And, we've got some pieces in here from the 60s and 70s that still work just as good today as they did back then.
Right.
So I found that just to be super interesting. Progression versus if it's not broke, don't fix it. So, and then once I got into the concept of building the gym, then the equipment hunt, so to speak, really took off for me.
Yeah.
I knew that if we were going to offer something in town, we needed to offer something that no one else had.
Mm-hmm.
And like, a gym is a concept. Anyone can go and create a gym, but can you create one that makes people want to come to it and actually train? Most people dread going to the gym. They're like, oh, got to go to the gym. Well, for me, when I would travel and I would go to some of these gyms and I knew they would have unique pieces of equipment, I was always excited.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to do 20 sets of whatever this is to see if I like it and see how sore I get the next day. And I knew that if we didn't set the bar high with equipment, it would not stand out to people. And so for me, then it became more of like an addiction to always hunting and looking for what I could find, because I I never had a problem sacrificing my time to
Right.
go and provide or acquire equipment. I knew that if I had unique, cool pieces in the gym, one, people would always be interested in it. But
Mm-hmm.
two, it always bothered me that gyms had an annual fee, but I never saw anything change.
Mm-hmm.
It bothered me. And I've, thought about it, and I said, if I was a member and I saw new equipment coming in or things being changed out, it usually tends to mean that the owner cares about the
Right.
business. And I do care about the business, but I also care just as much that they are having the things that they need. Because I remember sitting down again with my dad and telling him, I said, I've been to one gym that was in San Diego that had everything. And I just kind of looked around and I was like, well, why not everything? Why not every other gym like this? So I met the owner and I talked to him and I asked him, I said, and this is after I was open probably 6 months. And I asked him, I said, where did you get this equipment? Where did you find this equipment? And he said, I hunted it down. So we talked a little bit and I got just a little push in the right direction and learned that if I wanted something and I didn't want to pay an astronomical amount for it, I was going to have to be willing to sacrifice my time. I mean, I've driven to Texas, Miami, Florida multiple times.
Yeah.
I've been up your way twice, DC, Virginia, West Virginia. Wherever the equipment is, I will go and get it.
Nice.
So, I mean, there's times where I'm on the road at 3 a.m. and I got up that morning at 4:30. But, you only have the moving truck, but X amount of hours and
Right.
got to get it done.
Yeah.
But, learning to find equipment was something I learned along the way, but I have seen that it really provides a lot of positive reinforcement for the members.
Mm-hmm.
They know their money is going to a business, but also it is going back into them. And in return, I mean, my members are great. I mean, they, even if I'm not here, something's going on, they'll let me know. Or if something is broken or breaks, they bring it to my attention and they let me know. They want to make sure that this is taken care of because they see that we're trying to make sure that they have the best possible experience that they can have day in and day out here, not just one time.
Right.
So, and I think that again builds with the community. Everybody's kind of working in the same direction of progression and getting better. I mean, the gym that you saw when you came was by no means the gym I opened with.
I can imagine.
I think I started out with like 42 pieces of equipment, and I think we're up to like 76 now on the floor.
Oh, wow.
So, we've acquired quite a bit over the time, but, as the business grows, I thought that it was best to make sure that the members knew that we appreciated them being here.
Mm-hmm.
And, when it's funny to me, I get on my Instagram and I'll have messages from quite a few members. Hey, do you see this piece of equipment? Hey, what do you think about this piece of equipment? Hey, I saw this one on Instagram. What you think? And they're now out looking for it and looking for new things or things that are innovative. And, some people are like, well, doesn't that bother you? Don't you think they should be happy with what they have? And I'm like, no, I think it's great that they're taking a vested interest in what we're trying to do here.
Exactly.
Those are extra set of eyes that are doing clicking and stuff that I don't have time to do or, that day or whatever. And they're doing it for me. And I mean, that's just good feedback.
And members that are invested in the gym aren't going to leave.
Correct. I mean, I have quite a few of my original people, my first 100, they are still here. And most of the people that were here that are not here have just moved away for jobs. We're very fortunate not to lose members to other gyms. We do everything we can to make sure that they want to be here. So I think that, if you can do that, still keep, the order in the business, it's definitely not a sprint,
Right.
but it will definitely continuously grow and grow. I mean, we're kind of getting to the point now where we're looking to potentially expand this location down the road if things keep going the way they are, because I don't want people not to come. If you want to be here, I want to figure out a way for you to be here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like we've talked before, the gym is not just, a room full of weights. I mean, this is most people's therapy couch.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't want anyone that wants to be here not to be able to be here.
Right.
So, and if that's the case, then what we're building, people appreciate. And that's all I've ever really wanted them to do.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's totally. Anybody that's watched any of my reviews or any of these podcasts know that like I have a love for old school, but I also have a true passion for all this new school equipment. And you've done a really great job of merging the two. Like you've got some old school Nautilus pieces in there that I had never seen before. You've also got some Panada, some Atlantis. Like I think I used that Panada Power Smith twice. I hit shoulders and incline bench on that thing. It was a push day when I was there because it's so hard to. You can find a good leg gym, you can find a good back gym, to find a good chest gym or a good push day gym. Like you got something.
That piece was probably one of the coolest pieces I've ever seen.
Yeah, that thing's awesome. Yeah, I've been to a couple gyms that had it, and I love using it every time I get a chance to because it's just so unique.
It is, and it's custom. I mean, it's, if you, like I said, ergonomics, if you know what you're looking for, there's nothing better for, especially a good push day.
Oh yeah, completely. So is there a process for you to decide like, okay, like this is we're going to go old school with this, or we're going to go new school with this, or is it just like what's available at the time, or are you specifically out hunting for specific pieces right now?
I hunt specific pieces. So like, I'm by no means the end all be all when it comes to equipment. I have a good network of friends that are in the same businesses, and we talk pretty often. But I have been in a lot of gyms. I tried a lot of stuff that I thought that I was best, and I was not like a true like fast grower. I was always steady. So if I was able to use a machine and notice that there was a significant change in look, appearance, or strength to the muscle, then that was, if it's going to work for me, it's likely going to work for everybody else. I would say that the best way to describe it is the equipment that I choose to put on the floor is the best equipment that I know at the time to yield the best results for each person.
No, that's a good way to put it.
So,
and it's a good mix. And I like also like you've created an atmosphere that kind of walks the line between new school and old school too. So I'm assuming that was on purpose.
Yes. So when somebody first asked me before I even had a piece of equipment in here, what kind of gym Olympus was going to be, I always went straight to hybrid performance gym. You can do anything you want here, any way of training that you want to do. I like a lot of the old school stuff. I grew up with that. The camaraderie of, the four bros in the corner, yelling at each other and all that good stuff.
Right.
And I love that. I mean, then, had sports, and especially being in like football locker rooms and stuff like that. Like I like that kind of communal training as well. But what I also didn't like about that is I remember being absolutely petrified to wear a cutoff shirt to the gym when I was 17 years old because of these four old dudes in the corner that were going to shred me for thinking that you think your arms are big? Boy, you better go find them sleeves. I didn't even make the 3 steps out the door before that's the first thing I heard. And while it is funny, and I laughed about it, looking back on it, I was like, well, dang, like that's discouraging.
Right.
But for me, I took it as a sign that they at least were paying attention to what I was doing enough to rip on me about my tank top of my choice.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand that I was very determined. I was going to be this way. Nobody was going to stop me.
Right.
But not everybody has that mindset towards the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And that one interaction could have had somebody else never come back to the gym again.
Yeah.
I didn't care for that part from that perspective. I also am not a big CrossFitter. I think it's fun to watch, and I think it's, super competitive. I don't necessarily agree with how things are done all the time, but I think that they have a genius business model. They are like family.
Mm-hmm.
They are all there encouraging each other no matter what. And to me, that's more the new school type of stuff where people come and, like I said, I've been working out for 3 years before I wore my first tank top to the gym. And now people are comfortable wearing whatever they want to wear to the gym because they're here and they know that they're going to be accepted and that nobody's going to say anything to them or anything like that. So when I sat down to try to figure out how to navigate this, my thought process got very limited to where it was very simplistic. As long as you're doing the right thing and trying to progress, be better, treat the members correctly, the equipment, everything correctly, like it doesn't matter if you've been working out for 5 minutes, 5 years, 15 years. We're all the same in here. I don't care if you eat more chicken and rice than the next person or whatever. Everybody's equal here. Everybody's the same. And there were some growing pains with that to begin with. Not a lot. There was enough people that didn't really care for that because they felt that that's not the way it should. If you've logged your days, you should be able to do X, Y, and Z. And that's just not the case. Because for me, I swung back on the equipment with that saying, okay, well, if you want to use the Panay Smith incline press and you couldn't, there's an Arsenal incline press right there next to it. There's a variety of other things to do. So you can't sit there and say, well, and like people sitting and waiting in front of the other people's equipment. Like I didn't really care for that. So that's where a lot of the equipment stuff came back into play because I wanted everyone to be able to come here and to be able to do what they wanted to do and to avoid as much personal conflict as there is. I mean, I don't really deviate from the plan very much because it works. If you don't mesh in with what we're trying to do here for all the members here, it's probably not going to work out that well for you because we're here for them and not just you and vice versa. So I think that when you combine the two, the old school and the new school way of thinking, to me, you get the best of both worlds. You still get the hard workers, you still get the people that are super focused and this is what they do. But you also get the people that they're new to this or they're just here because they like the music or they like the atmosphere or whatever. They're not necessarily, they don't know that we have Panada or Arsenal or Prime. They don't know what any of that is, but they do know that they like 50 Cent playing on the music of on the sound. So, when you do those things, because the reason for the music was like we spoke about earlier, the headphones in the gym. How are you going to talk to anybody when you have noise canceling headphones on? And then nobody wants to stop and take their headphone out because you think you're being rude. So I played the music loud and I played music that most people are usually listening to in their headphones anyways. And that way, like you don't have to feel obligated to wear the headphones. And as I have opened the gym and it's been open, I've noticed less and less and less headphones, which I love.
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah, I never wear headphones in the gym. Like I go to a bunch of different gyms, so when I'm at different gyms, I want to be approachable. Correct. And so I just when I'm even at my home gym where I work at all the time, I don't wear headphones, and it's the same 12 guys that are at the gym at 5 a.m. and we're all like a little family. So
exactly. I mean, my 4:30 a.m. crew here. I mean, you walk in here at 4:30, and you might as well think it's 4:30 in the afternoon. I mean, they're all in here moving fast, music's going. They are, and they're religious. They are here every day. Like if I don't see you for 2 days, you're getting at least a DM or a phone call because I know that something is not right.
Yep, that's the way it is. That's the way it is with our little crew, and that's awesome. It's like that's part of the thing that keeps you coming back.
I agree. I think that, if you have a gym full of people that are, encouraging and welcoming, and I mean, just excited in general,
Mhm.
motivated about it, it's contagious. I mean, people's attitude, the amount of times I've had people walk in the door and be like, you know, I really wasn't too pumped up to come here today, but I walked in and the music's blasting and I'm ready to go now.
Right.
Right. And then as soon as they walk in the door, they're a couple of feet by and then they'll see a friend. And then the next thing you know, they're 2 hours later, they're still here. And they're not in the way. They're not just, politicking and things like that, or, talking. They're working out together, looking at stuff on Instagram or TikTok, looking at these different workouts and movements. And a lot of people are in here just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And, it's cool. It's cool to watch. For me, it's like watching like a whole group of people that I'm friends with all become friends together.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. And you've created I would say that from an equipment standpoint, you've got a hardcore gym, but from an atmosphere standpoint, you've created what I would like an inviting space.
I wanted everyone to feel comfortable here. I mean, we're in the capital. There's a lot of different types of people here, a lot of different types of personalities. We got people from all over. We've got multiple members from different countries. I mean, the English isn't their first language.
Right.
We have a guy here that's from France that's a hockey player, and he comes in here. They found us on TikTok or whatever, and you have to think that when you're opening a business, something like this to the public, you have to appease not just what you like. I mean, if it were me, the music would be twice as loud and there would be probably more equipment. I'd have it almost standing on top of each other because I would want to have everything in here at one time. But
Right.
that's not the best decision for the business going forward. So I had to kind of pick my battles on the things that I wanted. So for me, the equipment was kind of my thing. Like I
Right.
was willing to be, I guess, more lenient or more loose on some of my other perspectives on how I wanted things to go. But the equipment was a non-negotiable. But as I started building it out, putting equipment in there, I did realize that you have to be selective because once you start cramming stuff in there, it can kind of make things a little stopped up. And
Yeah.
when you have the amount of people that we have coming in here, especially during peak hours and stuff, I mean, you've got 60 to 70 people sometimes out there on that floor at the same time. That's a lot of people for 10,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So you've got to be mindful about, even how you stack equipment. Like you've got two sides that both sides, one side is not anything but just a stack. They have to be next to each other to save footprint space.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not going to go anywhere else. So it takes some strategy, but it's like a puzzle. It's like the more I can fit in here, the cooler the puzzle gets. But we have to make sure that like all the edges are still the same.
Right.
So I think that like the equipment, the 200-pound dumbbells is obviously a statement piece.
Yeah.
Like that was another one of my top 5 non-negotiables. I thought that, and I was much stronger then, so I could do more than just look at them as I walk by them like I do now. But I'd only seen one set in real life, and it was in a college football workout gym. And I was like, these are cool. And I'd seen one other set on YouTube in England. And I actually, to find these and to source these, I reached out to the guy in the video that I saw. I went back and found the video because it was a pro bodybuilder and his friend. And he was actually getting ready to move to America. So we had the same coach. I just hit him up and I was like, hey, look, do you mind telling me what brand those dumbbells are? Because I can't find anybody to make any over 150 right now. And he was like, yeah, bro, I'll send you a picture of it next time I go. Send me a picture of it. And from there, I hunted them down and found them and had them shipped and custom made and sent over from California.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
It's, in most, that's, it's not always this way, but usually most gym owners are pretty cool with helping other gym owners.
Yeah, no, I've noticed it's like the gym owners that I've met, they kind of form their own little family.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of guys here in town that I like. I mean, we're in the capital. There's more than enough people to go around. There's no reason that we couldn't all help each other. I mean, one of them hit me up the other day looking for a treadmill. So I'm straight to the guy that I always use, who always does everybody a solid. And it's no cut to me, because there's been times where I've needed his help and he's been happy to help me out. And, we all kind of doing the same thing. We're all putting it on our own shoulders, trying to go out there and make a living off of providing a place for other people to come and better themselves.
Right.
And I mean, you've got some that just, that doesn't work with, and that's okay. But it gives you an opportunity to work within the crowd of people that you work with. Like like Morgan, the guy that does all the graffiti and the murals. I mean, he did the gym in Jacksonville that we opened, and I think since then he's done like 14 or 16 other gyms.
Oh yeah.
And the next gym he did after mine, I sent him to, and he's not even 3/4 of a mile down the road from me. Totally different type of gym. I was like, dude, use him. He's great. It is awesome. And like, I just think that's the way to do it.
Oh, it's 100%.
There's so much to be learned, and most of us have different types of gyms. And when you listen to other people's perspectives, or like if I was struggling with something with a trainer, I would reach out to this one guy because his business is based mostly on trainers.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to have more insight on actually how to deal with a trainer situation than someone who is just, maybe has one personal trainer at the front that, you get a free session when you sign up with or whatever.
Right.
So I think that, the camaraderie between most gym owners, local gym owners, is usually good, because, I mean, like I said, we're all just trying to make it. And at the end of the day, no matter how you personally feel about any individual, anybody that's doing this and running a gym, at the end of the day, you're still trying to provide something to help people.
Oh yeah, totally.
So you automatically are going to have a certain level of my respect regardless, because you're willing to put everything that you've got on the line so that other people can, become better. That doesn't mean that you will automatically come out on the better end of things, but they will. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of respect for the guys that are willing, and ladies that are willing to do that, because there are some definite, really badass women that own some really cool gyms. Some of the coolest gyms I've been to have been owned by women. So, and they run a tight ship.
Yeah, I was at a 40,000 square foot gym in Charlotte that's owned by a woman, and she was very cool.
Oh yeah, she's very cool.
You know which one I'm talking about. So
yeah, not too many 40,000 square foot gyms around.
No, not too many. So you mentioned the gym in Jacksonville. So now you've got 2 locations. You mentioned that you'd love to make this one a little bit bigger, the one in Raleigh. Is that what's next for Olympus? Trying to find a bigger location for Raleigh, or is there potentially a 3rd gym in the works at some point, or what's next?
So I would be very hard pressed to move the location of the gym that I'm at now. The city of Raleigh, when I first opened this, was difficult, just like pretty much every other city I've worked with has been, with permitting and things of that nature. But I would do everything that I could to stay where I'm at. We're very close to the college. We have a really good rapport with NC State, Shaw, William Peace, and Meredith College downtown. We're in between downtown and North Hills, which is the 2 bigger sections of town, and we're right on the main street. And the gym in Jacksonville will have been technically open for a year in 3 months, and we're getting ready to do like a little summer bash out there. That one's in Jacksonville, right across the street from the military base. I mean, you can throw a baseball and hit the gate entrance. With having those 2, I would say that the next step is that we would look for a 3rd location.
Okay.
I've got some good employees that have been with me for quite a while. I've got a friend of mine. He does the meal prep, Coalition Kitchen. He does meal prep service for the gym here. We're his main pickup spot and location, which was, another thing that we wanted to add for the gym, because we want the gym to be a one-stop shop. I mean, we've got Alex here for chiropractic stuff. We've got someone that will do soft tissue work, and if not, we have referrals. So I want to keep being able to do that, and offering places for people to put their businesses at. And there's a couple locations that we're looking at, or been tossing around the idea. Jacksonville is a 2-hour drive from Raleigh, so I've learned that time and distance does matter when you're running one of these.
100%.
And Raleigh is growing so fast, and there's lots of surrounding towns, and we probably have a couple of people at least a week that'll ask if we're open and one in another location. So I think that'll be the play next. And I think that would be dependent upon permitting time with an expansion of the gym.
Right.
So it will be interesting to see how it goes. I will say that, since I've opened, I've been gunning pretty hard. 2 gyms, 4 years, that's a lot.
Yeah.
It might not be the worst idea to, take it back on the throttle a little bit for a year or two, let them continue to grow, and then maybe open something even bigger, but don't know.
Yeah.
But I have too much creativity to sit idly. I've already in my brain planned out 4 other gyms in my brain. So we'll see. A lot of it, though, it really depends on being able to keep them staffed, having the right people on the bus that you can trust to see the vision of the business and want to be a part of that in the right terms.
Oh, 100%.
It makes a huge difference. Like, when I have to leave now, I know that the people that are running the gym when I'm gone, they're doing the best they can for the business.
Mm-hmm.
Because the business I've always been a big proponent of taking care of the people that help you out.
Oh yeah.
I remember learning that from my dad very early on. Without certain people, you can't do this. And to think that it's a one-man rodeo, it is not. I don't care who says it is, but they're not telling the truth. It takes a team to do stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that I would like to continue to grow the businesses. I think that we offer just a different type of mindset to the approach of how people do these businesses, and people seem to react very well to that, because we're truly here for them. I mean, at the end of the day, if the members are not happy, we don't have a business.
Right.
It doesn't matter how happy I am. I mean, if they're not happy and they're not here, I can't keep waking up and doing this every day for work.
Right.
So, I think that when you couple those things together, you have a good recipe for success. And it's just if you're willing to do the work necessary to do it, because it is a lot of work. People will say stuff to me about running the gym, and they'll talk about the equipment and stuff like that, and I'll be the first one to tell you, like, that's the apple skin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot more meat under there than just that. But it's been the most fulfilling thing that I have done, because I get more from watching members get hyped about PRs, and I talked to this kid the other day. He's been coming for about 6 months. When he got here, I think he was like 145 pounds soaking wet. I mean, he was a small guy.
Yeah.
And I remember him struggling with just the bar. Mm-hmm. And I was working out yesterday, and I watched him hit 135 for 2.
Nice.
And I had to walk over there and tell him, like, hey, I remember when you couldn't even do the bar. I said, it hadn't even been 6 months. I was like, look at you go. And he just cracked this huge smile. And I'm like, see, that's the best part of the job for me. That and bringing the dogs to work. So, but it's a fulfilling job, but you really got to love it. Like, it can't just be like, I just want to make money. Like, you really have to believe in what it is you're pushing out there for people to see. Otherwise, if you're not out here leading by example, being present, being involved, it's very difficult for other people to believe that as well.
Yeah, 100%. Well, you've seen the podcast, and you know that we always finish it up with advice. You've given a lot of nuggets to anybody out there who would be interested in opening a gym. But is there any other advice that you would want to share with somebody after your years of experience in owning this gym and starting 2 gyms?
All right. If you're someone who is really interested in wanting to open a gym, I encourage you. The best way to put this. You have to really love what you do. Like, you have to really love it enough to give it up. Because when you open a business like this, like, it's no longer the gym for you. I mean, it's your lifeline. So if you're going to do it, you have got to be, when I say solid, I mean unbreakably solid right here, because everyone's going to tell you shouldn't do it. Everyone's going to tell you how it's not going to make it, or how this or that could be better. And that cannot rattle you. You cannot be discouraged. You have to have some serious faith that you can carry the load and get the job done, see it through. And I think that a lot of people have the idea of wanting to do it, but there was a time period when people would ask me, "Hey, what are you doing on this day?" And I'd be like, "I don't know. I don't know what day it is. It doesn't matter, because I know I will be right here tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, until we're rolling." So I don't know what day of the week it is, because it doesn't matter.
Right.
If you're not willing to do that, then I highly encourage you not to do this. But if it is something that you want to do, and you know that that's what you're willing to put in for it, dude, you got to go get it. You cannot be scared. If you're going to do it, dig in and go for it. And do not hold back, because anytime you hold back or have a second where you maybe not so sure about yourself, your self-doubting, doubt kills more dreams than anything. It's just go for it. I mean, you're never going to get it right. I mean, I've made so many mistakes that were costly than I have made correct decisions that worked out better for me. But you just got to have faith that it's going to work out for you, and you got to go get it. I remember the day I posted the picture that I was opening the gym. A friend of my dad's, who I respect tremendously, told me, he's not a man of a lot of words, told me, "Congratulations, go get it."
Nice.
And that has stuck with me all the way through, because there's some tough times. I mean, you take a beating doing this job. You make people mad. People don't like you. If you don't give somebody exactly what it is they want, you're automatically the bad guy. Like, you've got to be very okay with doing that. You have to believe in that your vision is the right thing, and that you're doing things for the right people and for the right reasons internally. And I've learned that if you do that and you can endure the storm, it works out pretty good.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. That was great advice. And we've been rolling for a while, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I appreciate you coming on, and thank you very much. And
Absolutely.
we certainly look forward to what's next for Olympus Athletic Club.
Yeah, and you'll have to let me know next time you're back this way. We'll get you down in Jacksonville. I've got some really, really cool old school pieces there I think you'll like.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm hoping to get back down to North Carolina this summer at some point. So,
well, if you do, plan this one at the end, because you're about 10, 15 minutes from the beach. So you can go straight from the gym to the beach.
Nice. That sounds great.
Yeah, well, like I said, I appreciate your time and having us on, and thank you for coming and checking out the facility. And I'm glad you appreciate, what we're trying to do here.
Oh, it was a great facility. There's no reason not to appreciate it. It was a great gym. So, all right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We'll talk again soon.
Definitely.
All right, man.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more great content.